I noticed a change and held my breath. In front of me was a display that was still turned on. Until just now, I had been video chatting with my mother-in-law who lives far away to show my son. "Thank you as always. Please show me my grandchild's face again soon." The call, which was supposed to end with such a pleasant goodbye, did not disconnect, and my mother-in-law's face remained on the screen. She must have made a mistake with the operation. I couldn't help but give in to my mischievous curiosity and wondered what my mother-in-law usually does. Taking advantage of her not noticing, I watched the screen that remained connected for a while. Then suddenly, a figure approached behind my mother-in-law. Huh? She lives alone, doesn't she? As soon as the identity of the figure was clearly shown on the screen, my heart skipped a beat. Wait, is that? Without delay, I screamed. "Behind you!" "What?" My name's Cindy, a 36-year-old mother and a former housewife. The reason former is attached, it's simple. I got divorced from my husband. To put it bluntly, my ex-husband Drew is a complete jerk. Marrying him was nothing but a mistake of youth. Were there any happy times during a few years of marriage? Even if there were, they were not with Drew. I was happy when our son was born, but Drew wasn't even present at the birth. He was out drinking at a bar. The real problem wasn't alcohol though. He was also addicted to gambling. He had no interest in our child's growth and would find opportunities to gamble. He only paid attention to our son when he won big and felt good about himself. If we had worked, even though he was a guy like that, things might have been somewhat better. But the money Drew used for his drinking and gambling was all earned by me. No matter how angry I got, he would take cash out of my wallet and go out. When he couldn't find any money, he would just drink himself to death at home. Of course, I thought about divorcing him many times. If it were just me, I might have run away and started my life over, but it's difficult with a child. My parents have already passed away, and I don't even have money to hire a lawyer. There is nowhere to return to. So I held back my tears and left my young child at the kindergarten, working as a clerk during the day and doing work-at-home jobs at night, sacrificing my sleep time. I felt like I was reaching my limit every day, living such a shitty life. But there was someone who saved me from that. It was my husband's mother, my mother-in-law. One day, Drew said the worst thing to me. "Hey, where's the money?" "Huh? What are you talking about?" "I said the money. Give it to me. I kinda screwed up, you know. Got a girl pregnant. So I gotta get an abortion. Give me the money." What on earth is he thinking? He has no sincerity towards me, towards women, or towards children. I talked back to my husband. "I don't have any money. Why do I have to clean up after you and your infidelity? An abortion? What do you think you're doing? Do you have no sense of responsibility or guilt?" No matter how eagerly I respond, there's no way that Drew will be affected by it. He starts searching through my bag and drawers without even listening to me. I've made up my mind that I can't stay with him anymore. But who can I turn to? Then, I suddenly remembered someone. His mother. Although our relationship is quite distant, due to Drew's bad behavior, we met once to exchange greetings when we got married. And I sent her a letter when our child was born. She's probably the only person I can turn to, even though there is a possibility that she has a terrible personality like Drew's. but I can't afford to worry about the risk of making my life any more negative. With a faint hope that there might be a chance to turn things around even a little, I called my mother-in-law and told her about Drew. She let out a deep sigh. So he never changed. Then she kept silence for a while. To be honest, she didn't reply to my letter when my son was born. So I kind of knew that my mother-in-law didn't want anything to do with Drew or us. When I almost gave up, she started talking. Well, it's true that I don't want to have anything to do with that stupid son. But I want to do something for my grandson. Without even noticing it, I was crying right at the moment. I couldn't remember actually when was the last time to have someone on my side. Anyway, I'll come over tomorrow, so keep Drew home until I come. Saying that, my mother-in-law hung up the phone. What is her plan exactly? I couldn't deny my anxiety, but I managed to keep Drew home that day. If you stay home today, I will think about the money for the abortion. Of course, I was disgusted to even saying stuff like that, but I had to do something. Then, as she said she would, my mother-in-law came at noon. As soon as Drew saw her mother, he glared at me and said, "Why the heck is this bitch here?" Huh, you know why, don't you? My mother-in-law looked at Drew with the most disdainful eyes. Then she took out her bag, a brown envelope, a divorce decree, and a piece of paper with some kind of text on it. In this envelope, you will find documents, some of which pertain your inheritance. It pains me to my core to give you a piece of my inheritance, since you didn't show up for your father's funeral. But I'm giving you this money. So, divorce her right now and promise me. Never show yourself again. Never involve yourself with your son. Never ask for money. Promise me these 3 things. This is a written pledge that sums it up. After you sign it, you can go anywhere you want. Do whatever you want. I had no idea what my mother-in-law was going to do, but the idea of giving a portion of her husband's inheritance to him, so I tried to stop her. But she looked at me and shook her head. Drew's mood had changed instantly. Dang, really? He filled out the pledge form, including the divorce application, and was happy to do so. And without even reading the pledge, he stood up. All right, Cindy, now you are free from me. I'm also happy to cut ties with a woman like you, who can't even earn money properly. Well, take care of yourself and the kid. Saying so, Drew left the house, looking happy. It hadn't even been 20 minutes since my mother-in-law arrived. I had to thank and apologize to my mother-in-law anyway. Thank you so much. And I am sorry. I never thought you would give him money, let alone father's inheritance. I'll definitely pay you back. Then my mother-in-law turned her palm towards me and shook her head, gesturing me to stop. Didn't I tell you? I just did my part for my grandchild. Honestly, if it were just you, I wouldn't have helped. Besides, you are also at fault for being deceived by scum like Drew. And since he won't listen to words, only money and the law matter for that child. So, don't worry about it. Saying that, my mother-in-law approached my son and spoke. Hello, Elliot. Then my mother-in-law played with her grandson for a while. I asked my mother-in-law about her current situation. Apparently, she had been living alone since her husband died. Since Drew was the only one she had left, she naturally ended up like that. After talking for about an hour, my mother-in-law stood up and began to prepare to leave. Speaking to me, "Well, I'm going to go now. You broke up with Drew, so we won't meet again. From now on, take back the time you lost and be happy." I was surprised by my mother-in-law's hasty departure and stopped her. "Wait, I haven't even thanked you yet. And I don't know what to do from here. And besides, breaking up with Drew doesn't mean I have to break ties with you. If it's okay with you, would you like to live with us?" Looking back, it seems like a pretty brazen proposal, even though I made her pay to break up with Drew. It wouldn't be strange if she thought I was trying to live with her to save on rent. My mother-in-law, however, didn't seem to have such a suspicion. "Thank you." She said so, but she didn't seem very enthusiastic about living together. "The only thanks you can give me is to raise my cute grandchild properly. Money is not the only thing you can pay me back with. I know you are kind enough to offer to live together, but where I live is too rural to consider my grandchild's future. So, it's okay to continue as we are." My mother-in-law left with those words. Since then, I've been living comfortable days that felt like a lie. But I still couldn't stop thinking about my mother-in-law. Certainly, I understand that raising my son well will be a way to repay my mother-in-law's kindness. After all, breaking up with Drew was also for the sake of her son. But at the moment, I was thinking if there was something else I could do. Suddenly, I heard the words video call while watching TV. This is it! My mother-in-law cares deeply about her grandson, and I want to show her his growth from now on. So I decided to buy a computer as a gift to enable video calls with my mother-in-law. I was able to give the gift to my mother-in-law faster than I had expected. Even though my working hours had not changed, with Drew gone, it became much easier to save money. I visited my mother-in-law's house to set up the computer and internet. At first, my mother-in-law tried to decline, saying that she didn't want me to go through the trouble. Because raising my son well is my way of repaying you, right? If that's the case, it's strange that you can't see my grandson, isn't it? Even my mother-in-law couldn't resist the desire to see her grandchild. So, I forcefully convinced my mother-in-law. As proof of this, my mother-in-law, who had slightly impaired hearing, was happy to use headphones and adjust the volume during video calls, making it easier to hear her grandson's voice. Since then, I have been video calling my mother-in-law several times a month. I feel like we've grown closer than before. One day, my mother-in-law told me that she had been forgetting things more often lately. Although my mother-in-law was still quite healthy, she was of a certain age, so it wouldn't be strange to have some memory loss. That it's better not to worry too much about it. But the situation seemed to be more serious than I thought. According to my mother-in-law, she often forgets that she spends money on, miscalculates, and frequently loses, and can't remember where she put accessories. Our homes are quite far apart, so it's difficult for me to check with her every time. Still, I thought about how I could be helpful and suggested that she could send me messages as a memo when she spends money or takes off accessories, so that I could check and remember them during our video calls. My mother-in-law was hesitant at first, thinking it was too much trouble, but over the past few months, I have learned how to persuade her to overcome her reluctance. "You don't have to worry about that," I convinced my mother-in-law, and she eventually accepted my proposal. my mother-in-law herself was so worried that she would forget even more serious things in the future. Perhaps I became a little too anxious, but it's only natural for me to repay her. It may be presumptuous of me, but if I don't do this, my mother-in-law won't rely on me. However, to be honest, this method didn't really solve the problem. Although the frequency of her forgetfulness has decreased, she still has trouble with money and losing accessories. I wonder if I've even forgotten to contact you with the notes. What should I do? If this goes on, I might even lose important things like bank stuff and credit cards. She doesn't have the reliable appearance when she helped me to separate Drew, and she's being overwhelmed with anxiety. Let's go to the hospital together next time. There should be treatment for memory loss now, right? That's about all I can do. If my mother-in-law's starting to suffer from dementia or something, I want to take care of her until the end. I'm prepared for that. My mother-in-law seemed to understand that I am serious and thanked me and asked me to do it. Thank you. Well then, should we wrap up today's video call? Then she made a motion to end the call, taking out her earphones. However, it seems she made a mistake in the operation, and her house continued to be visible on my computer screen. I could have just turned off the call from my end, which would have solved the problem, but to be honest, I was a little curious about what kind of life my mother-in-law was leading at home. Her house is an old mansion located in an isolated place with hardly any other houses around. Since my mother-in-law lives alone and has no need for security, she leaves the gate at the entrance and the doors inside the house wide open. Therefore, even the camera on my computer can show a glimpse of the rooms in the back. As I was thinking about how large the house was out of curiosity, I saw something moving other than my mother-in-law. At first, I thought it might be due to the internet environment causing the screen to be distorted, but it was definitely a human shadow. The shadow was moving from room to room, trying not to be noticed by my mother-in-law. And then I realized who it was. It was my ex-husband, Drew. He was rummaging through the dresser, stuffing my mother-in-law's accessories and money into his pockets. I was shocked, but I knew I couldn't let this go on, so I shouted to my mother-in-law, "Behind you!" "What? What's going on?" But it wasn't just the mother-in-law who heard my voice. Drew also shouted, "Damn it! They found out!" The mother-in-law turned around and shouted at Drew, "Wait, you jerk! Don't you have no sense of decency?" While she shouted, she chased after Drew. I couldn't just stand there and do nothing, so I called 911 and explained the situation. They dispatched police officers to the scene. As a result, Drew was caught by the police officer and taken into custody. During questioning, a part of the mother-in-law's accessory was found. We were able to prove that Drew had taken those items from the mother-in-law's house using the message history between me and the mother-in-law. Drew's confession to the police revealed that he had stolen money and accessories from the mother-in-law's house multiple times. The reason for the crime was that he was constantly nagged for money. It turned out that the boyfriend of the woman who had been impregnated by Drew was a gangster member. And when he found about the abortion, Drew suffered a great deal. He was also constantly asked for money, such as for consolation money, and the inheritance he received from his mother disappeared quickly. He hadn't come to my house because of the contract and because he thought I didn't have any money. Also, As a result of Drew's arrest, the gangster member was also arrested. After some time, Drew was sentenced to prison. I visited him with my mother-in-law once.
Hey, Mom, please forgive me. I did it because I was pressured into it. Can we withdraw the criminal complaint even now? Huh? Please, this is dangerous here. It's some kind of mistake. Even the gangsters' henchmen are incarcerated here. I don't know what they will do to me. Please, I'm your son. And you're my mother, right? You can't abandon me like this, can you, Mom?
Upon hearing Drew's insincere words, his mother sighed deeply. You are the result of the pain I suffered giving birth, and you're still causing me all this pain. Everything is all your fault, son. If you understand, then quietly reflect on your actions in prison. After saying this, she asked me to leave the visitation room and went out. As a follow-up, I had my mother-in-law undergo a memory test at the hospital to be safe. The result was a temporary memory loss caused by stress. Since Drew's arrest, there were no more incidents of stolen memory or lost accessories, and the forgetfulness gradually subsided. I still regularly have video calls with my mother-in-law. If I hadn't broken up with Drew at that time, my son might have become the son of a criminal. I am sincerely grateful to my mother-in-law for preventing that possibility. I will repay her kindness by loving and raising my son well. I made that promise in my heart while looking at my son's sleeping face.